The Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, has sued Jim Jordan for what is called in this lawsuit, quote, brazen and unconstitutional, I should say, a brazen and unconstitutional attack on the prosecution of Mr. Trump and a transparent campaign to intimidate and attack the district attorney. So before we look at the reporting on this, the context is that because Alvin Bragg is the one who led the investigation responsible for the charges against Trump in regard to the Stormy Daniels hush money payment case, Jim Jordan, with a big political stunt, is using this as an opportunity to investigate Alvin Bragg. That's what he's been calling for, and do a House investigation into the district attorney's office so that the base, the pro-Trump people in the base, can be excited and think that Jim Jordan and James Comer and others are fighting for them, when in reality they're just overstepping and acting inappropriately in terms of their role as a congressperson. But here's an example of Jim Jordan before this lawsuit came out, talking about what he wanted to do, and then we'll look at Alvin Bragg's response in the form of a lawsuit.
That is, I think, why we have the questions we do and why we've asked Mr. Bragg to sit down with us and answer our questions, and we expect that he will do so. But we'll find out. And what I think is most important, everything is on the table because the American people deserve answers to why a district attorney is doing what I think Kim Strassel in her piece pointed out so clearly, crossing this Rubicon, doing something that has never happened in the history of our great country.
Well, when are you expecting to speak with Alvin Bragg? If he does not come to testify in front of the Judiciary Committee, will you subpoena him?
Everything's on the table, Maria. We're going to talk with the other chairman and look at the response. We just got his letter back. We're reviewing that. But we think that this is... here's, I think, maybe the most important thing. We think this is bigger. This involves all of us. That is, I think, why we have...
Okay. And then apologies for that notification, and then it looped there. But you get the point. And then now I have for you this breaking here from the New York Times. The Manhattan District Attorney on Tuesday sued Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, an extraordinary step intended to keep congressional Republicans from interfering in the office's criminal case against former President Donald J. Trump. The 50-page suit filed in federal court in the Southern District of New York accuses Mr. Jordan of a, quote, brazen and unconstitutional attack on the prosecution of Mr. Trump and a transparent campaign to intimidate and attack the district attorney, Alvin L. Bragg. Mr. Bragg last week unveiled 34 felony charges against Mr. Trump that stem from the former president's attempts to cover up a potential sex scandal during and after the 2016 campaign, as you guys know. So a strong response there from Alvin Bragg. But I mean, it makes sense. He's being constantly gone after, now possibly investigated, subpoenaed for a situation that hasn't even played itself out. They need to wait to see the process, to see what evidence is brought forward in court and all of that, to know if it's this big political persecution operation as they're so sure of now. Here's this being reported on MSNBC.
In the escalating battle between Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg and Republican members of Congress, Bragg is now suing the Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, accusing Jordan of a transparent campaign to harass and intimidate him. NBC investigative reporter Chloe Atkins is here. This is extraordinary.
Okay. Yeah, it's obviously what they're doing. They're trying to intimidate him. They're trying to scare him away from holding Trump accountable legally. And I say again, if you think this is all wrong, it's a witch hunt, it's political persecution, see how the process plays itself out. Maybe you'll be proven incorrect, or I'll be proven incorrect, but that's what the process is for. That's why we have this exact system in place where Alvin Bragg doesn't make the decision if Trump is convicted. And we will see how it all plays out. And then, just as a strange response, here is Republican Senator John Kennedy responding to this news.
It looked to me like, as a legal product, someone knocked over a urine sample. My guess is Mr. Bragg will not try this lawsuit himself. a good criminal defense attorney, based on what I've seen so far, will take his head off. So he doesn't want to be naked and alone, not literally, but figuratively, in front of a congressional committee having to answer tough questions. That's my assessment.
You know,
it looked to me like...
That's one way to interpret it, or he's recognizing that individuals such as Jim Jordan, such as James Comer, supported by people like Senator Kennedy there, they are using their position of power to try to influence the investigation going on in Manhattan, and now the charges that have been brought against Trump. And getting involved in this process is just completely unnecessary and inappropriate. And something we've talked about a bit in the past is Republicans, when it's Democrats using the federal government to do anything, they say it's overstepping and they shouldn't be getting involved in local matters and leave things up to the states and blah, 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 blah. But then whenever it's a local prosecutor prosecuting a person, now that's how it should be seen in the eyes of the law. They want us to take into consideration that Trump's a former president and that should change how he's treated. No, it shouldn't. If this prosecutor is able to successfully prosecute, based on the evidence, an individual within their jurisdiction, then so be it. That's how the law should look at it. And for the federal government to get involved in that because they like the guy being prosecuted too much is unnecessary, it's inappropriate, and it's against the very principles that Republicans have purported to stand by. That reality, that contradiction, I'm sure doesn't surprise you all.